professional and creative way. From concept to post-production, advertising to film, multi-camera productions, live events, streaming and virtual conferencing, we are WESN Film Studio. Let your own unique voice be heard and your vision realized. Call us today at 628-5835 for your next production.
Hi, I am Emiliana Beechan and I am a mental health and conflict resolution consultant. Welcome to Mind Matters, the show where we explore the intricate world of mental health and the art of conflict resolution. Join us as we hear from mental health professionals, conflict resolution experts, and everyday people who have transformed their lives through understanding and communication. Mind Matters, WESN Content Capital.
Knowing how to tell authentic is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Find it, match it, search it. Step 1. Find the style number on the tag. Step 2. Match the style number inside the jersey with the number on the tag. Step 3. Search it. A quick Google search of the style number will verify the jersey is authentic when the search results match the jersey being searched. Don't be fooled by counterfeit jerseys. Before you buy, remember to find it, match it, search it.
Fan Zone, 2 locations nationwide. Center City Mall, Chaguanas and Movietown, Port of Spain. Nationwide delivery available.
Are you driven, ambitious, and ready to earn? WESN, the content capital, is expanding, and we're looking for dynamic media sales executives to join our team. Sell powerful advertising solutions across television, digital, and social media platforms, and help brands tell their story. If you have strong communication skills, a passion for sales, and the drive to succeed, join WESN today. Send your CV to marketing@wsncc.com or WhatsApp 68-61662 and start building your future.
WESN.
Good morning and welcome to AM Prime on WESN. I am Takia Thompson and today is our Wildlife Wednesday show. As Trinidad and Tobago continues to face growing environmental challenges from rising temperatures to changing natural landscapes, one local author is using storytelling to spark awareness and inspire action, especially among the younger audiences. Let's dive into this in our Environmental Changes segment. Through her book books, she brings elements of nature, imagination, and conservation to life, encouraging readers to see the environment in a new way. Now, with the launch of her latest book, she's continuing that mission, blending magic with an important message about protecting the world around us. Katrina Khan-Roberts joins us this morning for this conversation. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here again.
That's so good. Now, Katrina, tell us about your journey as a writer and what inspired you to start creating stories for children.
So when I was 8, I wrote my first poem and I was like, Mommy, I think in rhyme. So it didn't start off with storytelling, although my imagination was absolutely wild. It started off with poetry, and I used to write these poems just before I went to sleep and throughout my teen years. And then, of course, I wrote the first essay exam. I'm aging myself now. And that was when they were pushing creative writing and composition.
Yes.
And I found that love for storytelling then, but of course, I love science. I love everything to do with nature. From the time I was like, the first time I went to the beach, and I can remember, I was like, this is where I'm supposed to be. And so a lot of my stories always had like the ocean or mermaids. So that was where it all stemmed from very early childhood, because living in Trinidad is magical.
Yeah, it definitely is. And now you started to touch a bit on it, because I was just about to ask, how did that environmental advocate part of it came into play in terms of you having this passion and then utilizing storytelling for it? Talk us through that one.
So, do you remember when we were small, on Manzanilla Stretch, there used to be a shell beach, and that beach doesn't exist anymore?
Wow.
I just being there as a child and like looking at all the chip shells, all the different species of shells. Because in my little mind, I was like, I liked to figure things out and I like to analyze. So I used to say, okay, I'm seeing this many of this type of shell and then another type of shell and stuff. So I was like, why is my shell beach gone? What happened? Where did this thing go? This amazing natural place that I used to have so much fun as a child. And then of course, as you get older, you realize that it's because of all of the impacts that humans are having on our environment. Now, there are natural changes that happen, but humans are the main cause for environmental degradation. And I noticed at a young age, like pollution going into the waterways, those kinds of stuff. And I always thought to myself, we need these things to survive. We need the trees to make oxygen. We need the ocean to regulate climate. I saw all of that at 8 years old. I don't know how, I don't know why, but I just remember, and I have it written in my diary as well at 8, and I'm like, why is everything getting so hot? And so it really was just me engaging with my environment and realizing that it was changing over time, and then wondering why. Realizing why, and then trying to figure out how are we going to make that shift. Not necessarily towards removing humans or anything like that. It's always about sustainable development. Right. So that is one of the things that I focus on. It's not about stopping something outright or like shutting something down. It can't be like that, because our human lives depend on the systems that we have created.
Yes.
So it's changing that system very, very slowly, just so that we can, not destroy the planet, but still survive and, thrive, because we're supposed to thrive. Humans are supposed to thrive. That's what we're put on the planet for. It's to protect nature while, living our lives.
Yeah. And I love how you mentioned that, we need these systems as human. Now, why do you think it's important to introduce these themes to children at young ages?
So I grew up with Captain Planet and stuff too. And I don't know if you all remember Inglewood with the Nyum Nyums, and they ate their planet. Right? So I thought media was also a big part of why I, as a child, understood these concepts, right? And I feel like if the media has not always put it in the child's mind that you are the future and your decisions in the future are going to impact the entire planet and humanity.
Right. So
in my mind, I was thinking, if little Katrina could have had all of these concepts, right? And yes, as you get older and you become a teen, you become a working professional, you kind of lose touch with that, children have so much potential.
Right.
And at 19, I started with the Caribbean Youth Environment Network, and then as I got older, I volunteered and stuff like that because I just had that natural knack. But then I realized that it's the children and the parents of these children that are going to impact the changes to our future that we need to become sustainable.
Yeah.
So say, for example, in the home, you see your dad throwing garbage out the window and you tell him about it and then he's like, no, I'm making work for somebody to pick it up. But at the same time, in that child's mind, that now that question has been answered. I could litter if I need to. But if it is that we have systems in place to educate and say, well, no, that plastic bottle is going to end up, choking a whale, or that plastic bag is going to end up killing a leatherback turtle.
Right.
So that is actually one of the greatest examples of changing behavior, is how we as Trinidadians look at the leatherback turtle. Because remember, we used to eat them, right?
Yeah.
And we realized over time that no, we could actually make more money if we bring the tourists in, So it's looking at environmental services and then changing our human behavior a little bit at a time. Like I said, it's a culture change. Culture change is never easy. Look at I'm looking at Japan, I'm looking at all of these other countries, I'm looking at Singapore, because I know Singapore is being compared to Trinidad recently because we are same size, we are islands, but Singapore is just mega city, right?
Yes.
And the entire surface is concrete, which is probably one of the things I will talk about later as being one of those pressure points for me. But I really believe that the young people, if they see what we could be and understand why we should work towards it, I think that's why we're going to be successful in the future, getting to that sustainable, development point.
Yeah. Lovely. Now, when you mentioned the biggest or some of the changes that we can look towards, can you highlight for us what may be some challenges that may still be affecting Trinidad and Tobago where that is concerned, and even point out another, biggest, or from your perspective, one of the biggest changes or environmental changes that may be happening right now?
So there are quite a few that I focus on because it's not about the individual all the time. It's also about the public sector, the private sector, the bigger industries, right? If we compare Trinidad and Tobago to the rest of the world, and let's just talk about climate change for a minute, right? Because I'm going to say it, climate change is real. Climate change is not natural. Climate variability is natural. Climate change is based on human emissions to the environment. So we define the climate change. It is not a hoax. It's scientifically accurate. Humans have put emissions into our atmosphere, creating the greenhouse effect, causing the earth to warm. It has nothing to do with natural variation. It is just the nature's balance that is trying to deal with human emissions. That is climate change.
Right.
So the rest of the world is pumping out huge amounts of carbon dioxide and methane and these gases that are building up. I like to say that the earth is like a bubble, right? Analogies with the ocean, that is all I'm about. So the earth is a bubble, and if we continue to take the things in the solid center of this bubble and put it into the atmosphere, right, it's going to change how climate affects us, right? If it is say, I'm going to call names, say US, China, India, with these massive amounts of emissions, because they're the largest populations of humans, most amount of vehicles and industry, and they're just pumping, smoking out into the atmosphere, right? Trinidad and Tobago, we produce oil and gas. We use so much energy compared to so many other countries in the world, right?
Right.
But if you look at the Caribbean on the whole, they don't really use that much, right? So if we balance out in terms of regional emissions, right? Now, that is one of the things that I'm saying. If it is that we understood that, if we visited Barbados, let's just say we visit Barbados, you can't leave the lights on and the AC running and stuff. It's so expensive. Energy is so expensive elsewhere. But because in Trinidad we get nice and spoiled and the energy is a little bit cheaper, our bill's still high, but compared to the rest of the world, we have problems. Energy, the actual price of energy. So it's a little behavior at a time. That's the change that I want to make.
Right.
Another issue other than climate change is, of course, the urban development and urban sprawl.
Yeah.
We're not planning for the soil, we're not planning for the water. So if it is that we know rainy season has started very early, I was hoping it didn't start yet, but apparently it started early. As soon as it rains in Port of Spain, 5 minutes later, there's a flood. And that is partially because we're not allowing the water to naturally percolate into the soil. We've taken away the trees. We've not slowed down that water hitting the concrete and just going straight to the ocean. And then the ocean has now reached a level where the water is going to back up. So those are the two major ones that I would say are, things we have to work on.
Wow. Very insightful, very informative, which you shared just now there. Now, do you think enough awareness is being placed on these issues locally?
So I've been working in the environmental education sector for the past 15 years. And I must say, I think we are doing a lot, but we're not doing enough. So it's not just about education, it's about systematic and systemic change. Because if you have education, so say, for example, I know that I'm not supposed to use a single-use plastic bottle, right?
Yeah.
But my option, I can't go and buy a vase in glass and then carry the glass to get recycled or refilled or anything like that. I don't have public spaces that I can drink clean water. Wasa water is fine. I've tested it myself because I was neurotic when I was pregnant. I was like, I want to know what's in this water that I'm drinking for my baby.
Oh.
I did test the water, and yes, all water is fine. But the culture of us being able to buy a bottle of water instead of having public access to water, that is one of the biggest issues. So it's not only about education. Yes, we can educate, but if we don't change the systems for waste disposal, for being able to count our carbon credits or any of those things, like if we wanted to make a conscious change, if we wanted to stop plastic bags, and go towards eco-plastics, there's always an alternative. So I also am a health and safety professional. So, there's a hierarchy. You eliminate, and if you can't eliminate the problem, then you can adapt it and go down the line until you see the individual. It's not just about the individual, it's about the system as a whole, the industries as a whole that are producing these things. Because if you don't produce it, you're not going to have it, so you're going to find an alternative.
Right.
One of the other issues that I see a lot is like in the education system, we focus a lot on academics. And that is where I would say we need to bridge the behavior as well, not just about the environment, about just being humans. Because like, I know if you've seen in Japan, they teach ethics in schools.
Yeah.
And I'm not, even with my son, so my son is 6 and my daughter is 2.5, right? And these children who grow up in households like mine, they're not sheltered, but they are soft. So it's like you meet another child out there who has a completely different lived experience to you. Sometimes it's hard for you to navigate and, make the choices in life that are going to lead you to success, because of course, success is different for different people, right? So that is one of the things that I work on. It's not just the education and the knowledge. It's about trying to make that shift and make sure that we have policies in place, legislation in place, update the legislation. We have the oldest fisheries laws in the world. I know that is rectified soon. But those are the kinds of things. It's not just about educating alone.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. Now, with your latest book, The Secrets of Arboretum, it has a magical theme to it, So tell us, what inspired this story?
I got my first draft yesterday, printed, and I'm so excited because this is actually my 11th publication. Mm-hmm. So I started self-publishing when I was 30. So that was when the pandemic happened, and I had my son, and I was home, depressed, not being able to work, no opportunities to work in the environmental space.
Right.
And so I started writing all the stories that I had in my head. So this one in particular is based on an experience of mine when I was little, probably in the early 90s. I went to Macquarie Bay for the first time, and I sat on a stingray, and I was like, I went down into the water, and I thought, wow, mermaids must live here. This water is so blue and beautiful. I need to keep this in my mind, and actually Macquarie became my favorite beach because I like to dive. I have an inner ear problem, so I can't dive.
Right.
But I swim, and and then later on in life, I visited the Arboretum. So a lot of people don't know the Arboretum is a nature reserve up in Tucker Valley. So when you're going down that stretch towards Macquarie, you turn right, by the CDA headquarters. I think it's the police headquarters. And you go up that road into the hills, and there's a spring-fed system of pools.
Wow.
And the pools are blue. Like, I think the artist did a really good job capturing it. Let me just get it.
Yeah.
So the artist helped me with this is Selena Espinoza.
Wow.
So I know that the disappearing. Oh, it's disappearing. But yeah, this is the water is literally that color. It's like a teal blue.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, the mermaids must visit this place. So in my story, it's a bedtime story, but for all ages. It's actually meant for parents to lie next to your child and actually read this book. It's about a maybe 15-minute read, if so long, depending how fast you go through. It's very short. And it's meant for that parent-child interaction.
Wow.
It's meant for you to read to them so that they have sweet dreams to go to sleep in this magical forest, right?
Oh.
So think mermaids and fairies, but also think about environmental appreciation, because every single piece of this book, so like you have the bamboo and stuff, which is like not accurate because that's only recent, right? But I wanted to reflect the place, like how it looks. Oh gosh. Y'all will have to come to the book launch to see the book. But it is really, really stunning.
Yeah.
I did a lot of research on like the animals and plants that exist in that area. So like the mushrooms, oh my. The mushrooms are mushroom species that you would see. Okay. In the area. So the artist is Selena Espinoza. She is a cum laude graduate of UTT, and she did a fantastic job illustrating the book. I also spoke with Afzal Abdul, who would have done the gorge pictures, and that is where the inspiration is for the story. And then the Arboretum itself, they have been so supportive of me, and so the book is launching on Saturday, 23rd of May, 2026 at 2:30 p.m. and I have tickets on sale. And we can talk more about the book launch.
Yes, definitely. Now, hold on to that book launch idea, because we definitely need to dive into that a bit more afterwards. But tell us, you have written other books. You mentioned this is your 11th one being published. Now, can you tell us some of the other themes that you would have written about, and what was the thought process behind some of them that you can highlight for us?
So actually, my first 4 books were poetry books.
Oh.
And some of them were like written when I was a teenager, and then I published them later.
Yeah.
I have Mertrina. So my name is Katrina, and my cousin Nadia Ali, when I was little, I used to swim in Store Bay in Tobago. I was very blessed to be able to go to all the beaches. And she was like a mermaid, and she was like, oh, look, Mertrina. And that name with me through life. And that's how I created the mermaid Mertrina, who teaches children about the ocean and how to protect it.
Wow.
And it was all conceptualized just because I did marine biology. I have my degree in environmental resource management. I actually have my master's in tourism, and it all came together. And the first book that I actually published was Mertrina's Guide to Marine Biology. So it was basically a condensed version of my marine biology background. For young readers. And then from there, I did an activity book, because children don't all learn the same. Humans, we all learn differently. Some of us are audio, some of us are visual, some of us are tactile. So I made an activity book.
Wow.
So the activity book has like experiments, and like my favorite one is like I did a beach, and I had different things on the beach, and you had to figure out what was naturally supposed to be on the beach and what had to be taken away from the beach. So like a search and find.
Yes.
Yeah. And then I did, what was the third book? It was a poem. And then the last book was the ABCs. So like different ages for Mertrina. So you could go from baby up. And then I wrote The Secret of the Arboretum 3 years ago, but it's not being published. And then the other book that I was really interested in was a short story. It's called Anaparima, The Truth and the Tale. So I work a lot with indigenous communities, so the Warao of San Fernando.
Right.
I had this dream, because I lived in San Fernando, of mermaids out in the water, and the indigenous people seeing the mermaids and being like, that's how we're going to get out, because they didn't have boats then, right?
Right.
So it was story of the first canoe, right? They have this legend of Haburi who carved the first canoe out of a red cedar tree. So that's that story, and that story was like really a big passion project for me. Hasn't the thing is, I'm trying to create all of these books and then market, which is not necessarily a good thing. It's like they're bubbling, and I need to make sure to get them done. And that's where my focus is now, is just to get these out there. And that's why it was so important for me to do this book launch, because I knew that if I continue just creating and creating and creating, nobody's ever going to read them. So that's why I was like, I have to do this immersive book launch. It's set in a spot that is so gorgeous, and families and stuff will find so much when they come there,
Yeah, definitely.
So that's
No, how you talk about it itself, it's like a magical experience just unfolding in front of you. So I'm really excited that you'd want to share this experience with others as well. And some of the books, you're saying children, but I believe persons my age as well would, because that beach one especially, I could see myself taking like, a good minute or two just on that page, making sure everything is put back in place or removed.
I am working on a young adult novel series.
Right.
I don't come out, and I'm working on an adult novel.
Ooh.
And all of them have the same theme. It's all going to be about mermaids in my universe, in my head.
Yeah.
Right? There's two types of mermaids. There's Matrina, who's like the science mermaid, and that's that. But then there's also the mermaids that exist in my imagination, which are these tailed magical beings that are out there in Trinidad and Tobago's waters trying to protect the environment.
Wow. Yeah.
So like, I don't want to spoil it, but wait for about 3 more years and I'll have one for you.
No problem. I'll be looking out for it, definitely. Now, can you tell us, how has the children been responding to these stories so far? What is the feedback you've been getting?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, I have this bit that I do where I will come dressed in my professional sciencey, self. I feel like Superman, with a secret identity, and I take off the glasses and I put on the tail, and I'm a mermaid in front of them. So that is my ocean literacy work. And then when I come and I read to them, they're all like immersed and they want to hear what's next on the story,
Yeah.
And what empowers me the most is when they come to me after and they're like, how can I become an author? I have a book too that I'm writing. I have a story that I want to tell.
Wow.
And that is what keeps me going.
That's wow. Just wow. And it's a beautiful thing that you're even sharing it. Now, when you started talking about the launch, it gave off very, interactive, immenseful. So tell us, what can families expect coming out to your book launch?
So if you've ever imagined swimming with mermaids or dancing with fairies in real life, that is what you're going to meet when you come to the Secret of the Arboretum book launch.
Wow.
So if you've ever been to the Arboretum, it's naturally magical.
Mm-hmm.
There are these beautiful turquoise springs, and then the sheds and the trees, and everything is just kind of like this capsule in the middle of the forest. And I wanted to create that magic, not in that big, boisterous, loud music kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
I know that there are children who have sensitivities to noise and stuff, and parents sometimes struggle to find places that they could take their kids to have that kind of immersive experience. And I know some children hyperfixate on something. So like, I know tons of little girls who just like, I want to see a mermaid, I want to be a mermaid and stuff like that. So I wanted to create that experience, a safe, calm way to experiencing magic. And make the magic your own, because you're going to be in the spot where the book was set. So it's going to have a magical marketplace as well, where you can purchase stuff like mermaid themes or fairy themes, or just things that you'd like to eat and drink that are on theme as well.
Yeah.
So if you're thinking of like having a fantastic little cupcake with all the fairy, effects, you can get that. Then I also have a photo zone where you can actually dress up like a fairy or mermaid and take a picture.
Aww.
There's also going to be an art exhibition there for those of us who love to, look at local artists who would have done work on nature or the themes of mermaids or fairies.
Right.
And also, I wanted to make sure it was eco-friendly. So there's going to be a water station, so the hydro station, so you can refillable bottle and refill. And then you can have also like places aren't safe for moms. Okay, like we can't miss our kids in public. We can't change diapers. So I'm creating like it's outdoor, but a little outdoor area for moms to do what they have to do.
Wow.
It's just going to be I was very thoughtful and intentional about what I wanted.
Yeah.
Not something that we've had in Trinidad before, and probably not again, because I'm telling you, I'm broke after this.
No, wait, this is definitely gonna elevate you. You have to talk it into being.
Saving for 3 years to make sure that this happened. Because I started writing 3 years ago, and I'm like, I want to have this event.
Yes.
I want to do this and show that we can do things in Trinidad that are not, loud and boisterous, but still magical, intentional, and, making families feel like they could actually go out together again.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wow. No, I feel like you just summed it up in terms of why was it so important for you to create an experience and not just a book launch. Because what you spoke about there, I won't say it's just a book launch. It's definitely an experience you're walking into, and I'm excited. I'm excited to see how it goes. So you're definitely on the right track. Now, what more do you think Trinidad needs to be done in Trinidad and Tobago to protect our environment?
So I always say the foundation is the legislation.
Right.
So the Environmental Management Act is from 1995. There were a few appendices coming around. But did you know that we have an environmental commission, which is our environmental court, which is the EMA is on one side. So they are kind of like the police. But then we have the environmental commission, which is the judge at the court.
Right, yeah.
And people don't know that. So there is the legislation that has created all of these mechanisms that we can, get environmental justice. And that is the first step to be able to access environmental justice. Because if these systems aren't in place, how can people come to access them, right? And then the next step is the education and the ensuring that people know how to access, what they're accessing for, right? And then knowing that, it's actually free to access these things. Then it's all about the young people being able to have, I think, experiences in life, like especially like travel. It brings perspective. Now, you don't have to leave your country to travel. You have the internet. I mean, like when I was little, we didn't have the internet, right? And I was blown away by Encarta Encyclopedia and all of these things. I used to just be going through these books like crazy. And now I'm like, you have an encyclopedia at your fingertips. You can experience anything in this world without leaving your house. So I'm giving that mindset of exploration and solutions and creating, a pathway for Trinidad and Tobago to reach the state that we want. Now, we have a lot of issues that are not environmental, that are pertinent. If you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? If somebody can't even meet their daily requirements for food, water, shelter, how is it that they're going to care about the environment? They can't. So if we don't fix the jobs, if we don't fix the crime, if we don't fix the things that are affecting humans, while fixing the system itself and the environmental stuff, we're going to continue to stagnate. So we need to make sure that we have a good, solid outlook. We have to know where we want to go for each of these different parts of human existence, right? We're going to tackle healthcare. We're going to tackle infrastructure. We're going to tackle all of these things. Only then, when we have a target and we know what target we want to get to, are we going to find out how we're going to get there? And at the same time, we have to deal with all of the things that are happening right now. So it is very difficult, I must say. Like, I've been trying for the past 15 years to figure out a good solution in like the NGO space, the civil society. We do a lot with nothing. And that should never be the case. There should never be a case where somebody is starving themselves to help others, And then there should never be a case where somebody can help others and they're not. So it is a conundrum, and I really don't know what the solution is yet, but I'm hoping that somebody out there who's partnered with me will figure it out soon.
That's the spirit to go about it. And even when you look at young people coming up, how can they make a difference in their own communities or in their own environments, wherever they go? What would you, yeah.
Young people to me are they're the most lived potential there is. But young people are still stifled by that hierarchy of needs. If it is that you're not able to go to school with clean shoes and clean clothes or even lunch, how are you supposed to be able to get good grades and learn? How are you supposed to be a good friend? How are you supposed to, look forward to what else next in life? How are you supposed to get a job if you can't find the educational, pathway that you need where you are? Those are the things that we have to look at as the challenges, and then to overcome those challenges, that child or that young person has to go through to figure out their way. We need to empower them. We need to support them. We have to give them the skills, the tools, and the resources that they need to overcome those challenges first. And then it is more than just an environmental issue.
Wow.
So that's what we're looking at right now. It starts at home as well. So it's a lot too.
It is. And what message would you give to a young aspiring writer or writers that are maybe looking on, and even environmental advocates like yourself watching this? What message would you give to them?
Yeah, I've been where you are, and I'm so happy that you are where you are because you're doing the best that you can. But remember that if you have a story in your heart and you don't write it down on paper, it will stay in your heart. So make sure you write down everything. That is my only, I have tons of books that I've just written nonsense. And then we'll revisit it later in like 5 years and be like, oh, this has potential and I can rewrite it. If you don't write it down, it disappears sometimes. Now we switch out books for, your notes apps on your phones. You can do that too. One thing I must urge everyone though is to be aware that AI is artificial intelligence. It's not your actual intelligence. Yeah. Your story, in my opinion, should not be touched by artificial intelligence if it is your story.
Wow.
So don't try the cheat method and put it up prompts and be like, yes, this is what I had in my head anyway. That's not it. But I want you to know that what you can do, artificial intelligence cannot do what you do. Yeah. So even with environmentalists, you cannot find a solution via AI. That's just coming up with like past solutions anyway. You have the creativity in you and the knowledge and the lived experience to take on the challenges of today. So don't forget that you are full of potential, do your very best, and be good to others, and everything should work out fine.
Now, Katrina, that's a very beautiful message that you leave with the viewers this morning, and I really do hope that they take it and they take what they need from it to apply it to themselves, because it was truly beautiful. Now, again, just, we could talk about the launch again, give us the date again, the venue, the time, and even if you'd like, you can give us some costs for the tickets and where we can get those tickets to be a part of it.
Great. So thank you so very much. And The Secret of the Arboretum is a book that is coming out on Saturday, May 23rd, 2026. The event is going to be at the Arboretum itself in Tucker Valley, Chagaramas. And it starts at 2:30 p.m. and ends around 6 once the sun sets a little bit and we get that magical feeling where the book is set. I'm going to start reading the book to you and you're going to feel what I felt when I wrote it. And it's $200 for an adult plus a child plus a copy of the book, because what is a book launch without a copy of the book? Then an additional adult is $100 and an additional child is $50. So you have to buy that $200 ticket to get the book and an adult and a child to come, and then you add on your friends and family. Wow. Thank you so very much.
No, thank you for joining us and telling us about this experience. It is truly one to look forward to, and I really do hope we can all go out and be a part of this experience. And the price is not bad. Listen, you're getting to take yourself as well as a child with you, and you're getting a copy of the book. Now, if that isn't a book launch with an experience attached to it, I don't know what is. So guys, we are about to take a short break, and when we come back, we have engaging conversations looking forward, so stick with us.
Take some time for yourself or spend some time with the family at Sandy Point Village Hotel. Enjoy our various studio and suite apartments, self-contained with their own kitchenettes and Wi-Fi. We also have our famous 100-foot swimming pool and our beachfront restaurant, the Steak and Lobster Grill. And our location in Crown Point puts us near the center of activity, from the nylon pool to the local nightlife. Call us and make your reservations at 639-8533, 389-2378, or email us at sandypointvillagehotel@gmail.com.
In Trinidad and Tobago, cervical cancer still remains a serious health problem, ranking the third most frequent cancer among women in this country.
So you may be happily at home not knowing you might have the early signs or the early stages of cervical cancer. So the first thing is that it can be completely without any symptoms or signs.
Are you driven, ambitious, and ready to earn? WESN, the content capital, is expanding, and we're looking for dynamic media sales executives to join our team. Sell powerful advertising solutions across television, digital, and social media platforms, and help brands tell their story. If you have strong communication skills, a passion for sales, and the drive to succeed, join WESN today. Send your CV to marketing@wsncc.com or WhatsApp 68-61662 and start building your future.
Knowing how to tell authentic is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Find it, match it, search it. Step 1. Find the style number on the tag. Step 2. Match the style number inside the jersey with the number on the tag. Step 3. Search it. A quick Google search of the style number will verify the jersey is authentic when the search results match the jersey being searched. Don't be fooled by counterfeit jerseys. Before you buy, remember to find it, match it, search it.
Fan Zone, 2 locations nationwide. Center City Mall, Chaguanas, and Movietown, Port of Spain. Nationwide delivery available. The home of Caribbean content is growing, and we welcome you to be a part of the #1 platform for young personalities who are driven to make a positive impact in society. As we continue to reach every corner of Trinidad and Tobago through our daily broadcasts, our social media pages, or through our 75+ digital billboards across the nation, contact us to learn about our competitive rates via marketing at wesncc.com or call us at 628-5835. WESN Content Capital, television with a difference.
Hi, I am Emiliana Beechan and I am a mental health and conflict resolution consultant. Welcome to Mind Matters, the show where we explore the intricate world of mental health and the art of conflict resolution. Join us as we hear from mental health professionals, conflict resolution experts, and everyday people who have transformed their lives through understanding and communication. Mind Matters, WESN Content Capital.
Welcome back. Now, with Trinidad and Tobago facing hotter than usual conditions in the coming months, concerns are growing not just for people, but for pets as well. The Trinidad and Tobago Meteorological Service is warning of above normal temperatures and short bursts of intense heat, which could significantly impact animals, especially those kept outdoors or in confined spaces. We address this issue in our Wildlife Spotlight segment. This morning, we speak with a representative from Animals Alive on how pet owners can better protect their animals and what warning signs to look out for during extreme heat. This morning, we have Catherine Cleghorn joining us. Good morning.
Morning, miss.
So, can you tell us, Catherine, how dangerous can extreme heat be for pets, especially in climates like Trinidad's and Tobago's?
The extreme heat can be very fatal. What happens is that they go into overheating, especially dogs whose temperatures are normally higher than humans. So when they go into overheating, they are giving us all kinds of signs before it can become fatal. So we have to monitor these animals all the time, especially if they are our companion pets, dogs, cats, rabbits.
Yeah. And now, what are some of the common signs of heat stress or even heat strokes in animals that owners should never ignore?
First of all, excessive drooling. Let's take dogs, for example.
Right.
They do not sweat through their paws like humans. What they do is they pant. So their tongues are out and they are looking as if they are going out of breath. They
Right.
also through their pads on their paws. So if we put them on a hot surface, they are going to overheat. So for dogs, we look out for panting and we look out to ensure that their feet are on cool ground. For cats, they may go into hiding. They may look for cool spaces. They will also try to overgroom themselves. We have to be really careful with cats because it's more difficult to discern obvious signs. And for rabbits, well, oh my goodness, they just completely collapse.
Oh, wow. And now, are there certain breeds in these animals that may be more vulnerable to high temperatures than others?
Yes, certain breeds and certain types. For example, the short-nosed dogs, the pugs, the boxers, those are the ones where their noses are a little bit closer to their face. They heat up very quickly and it's difficult for them to become cool. So we have to be really careful with those breeds. Also, dogs with long fur. Also, any large breed dog and dogs with thick fur, like huskies or puppies who cannot tolerate heat well at all.
Yeah. And now, what are some simple, practical steps pet owners can take to keep their animals cool during hot days?
Always look at natural ventilation and monitor in which direction the sun is hitting in the area that they are in. So let's talk about outdoor dogs. If they are outdoors, they should not be chained in the sun. They should not be chained in closed and overheated kennels. There should be some sort of heat proofing if they are in a kennel, and the kennel should always be very large and spacious. Then the water bowls must always be present, and sometimes more than one water bowl. And do not use the paint bucket that is made from plastic, and the chemicals that the plastic is made from will leach into the water. So always use stainless steel buckets or bowls. Keep them hydrated. Even you can put some water in the bowls. Keep a fan on them. If you have AC and you can get them into the AC, get them into the AC. Put them in shaded areas and ensure that sometimes if the sun is so hot, you could put some damp towels, or you can have them on cooling pads.
Yeah. And now you began touching on it, but just to elaborate some more on it, how important is it that they're able to access, or they have access to shade and water, and maybe there are ideal ways to improve this, like you were talking about before?
Ideally, a dog should never be kept on a chain, ideally. But if people without fences have to keep their pets on chains, make sure the chains are long so that they can move, so they themselves can find shaded areas. If you have to protect your kennel with heat proofing, then do so. If you can move your kennel under a tree, do so. If you can bring them into the garage, if you can bring them inside, do so. Because the heat is detrimental, and they can overheat in 30 minutes or less. And so constant monitoring is most important. Observe how your pet is spending its day. And always we recommend freedom. Freedom because they can move and they can get to their own shelter on their own. Sometimes we think keeping a pet inside in an air condition is also the answer. Yes, it is. It's ideal. But let's say electricity goes and windows are closed up, or the area you have the animal is directly affected by sunlight. Observation and quick action can change all those things for the better.
And now you mentioned having that pet indoor for AC. What are some hidden risks that pet owners may not even think about in terms of having that pet on the inside?
Having a pet on the inside means that, for example, you have to keep them safe from sharp objects. You have to keep them safe from electrical outlets. You have to keep them safe generally. Well, of course, some people who may want to protect their items. Keep them safe from things that you know that can harm them or they can destroy.
Yeah. And would you say the outdoor pets are at greater risk? And what extra precautions are needed to be taken for them?
Outdoor pets are not really at greater risk if responsible action is taken to keep them well ventilated and in a shady area. So you really have to assess the area and ensure that you are comfortable in that area yourself. If in the midday sun you touch that pavement or you touch that floor and your hands heat up, then that is not a suitable environment for that animal at all. If you go inside the kennel and the kennel is overheated, then that is not a suitable space for your pet at all. So people can be their own judge if they use their own degree of comfort.
Yeah. Now, if a pet shows signs of a heat stroke, what should the owner do before, or the owner should do immediately before getting veterinarian help to intervene?
First thing is that we have to cool that dog down, or the cat down. For dogs, you can use damp towels, you can use water, but not ice cold water, because then that creates a different type of shock. So the important thing is to bring the temperature down. Normal temperature in a dog is between 38 and 39 degrees. But if they're starting to heat up more than that, then we have to get that temperature down. So definitely cooling with water is best. Using damp towels, definitely.
And say if they have cats, rabbits, would it be different for the other pets, or would this be able to work for all pets across?
I think it might be able to be effective for all pets. The important thing is do what you can to bring that temperature down.
Definitely. Now, are there any common mistakes pet owners make during hot weather conditions that could put their animals at risk?
Common mistakes. We continue to tie the animals on in areas that are not properly shaded. People continue to leave their animals exposed for long hours. First of all, no animal should be restrained on a chain or a leash for more than 2 hours. So it is important to keep your animal off chain so that they too can be relaxed. They too can find their own shade. Another thing is water. Some water bowls are dirty. Some water bowls are not changed every day. But water bowls should be changed morning and evening. And in very hot temperatures, provide more than one water bowl or one water bucket. And if you can get the kennel, or you can open windows, breeze, natural conditions are always best for cooling down.
Yeah. Now, do you think a lot of pet owners are aware of the steps that they can take, or the risk even that they may put their pets through in terms of going through these hot weather conditions that we have here in Trinidad and Tobago?
Well, what you're doing right now is building awareness, and that's the most important factor in having persons become more sensitive, having persons become more educated, and thank you for that. Everybody can turn to their internet and they can Google how to keep an animal cool. The information is right there, but some people don't have the time, or some people are not inclined, or some people have a pet for guarding purposes and nothing more. But a pet is really a part of a family. So they should take the extra time to look after their pet properly and do what is necessary.
Yeah, definitely. And what message would you like to send to pet owners across the country as temperatures continues to rise?
Your pet is a member of your family. You need to treat your pet with respect and dignity.
Yeah, definitely. And how can communities work together to ensure stray or abandoned animals are also protected during heat waves?
Put water outside. Put water outside your gate. Sharing is caring.
Yeah.
Put food outside your gate. Some people even put shaded areas, they construct a little shed outside their gates. Talk to your neighbors. Always be someone who cares, not someone who looks away, because the little creature in need is in need to save her life or his life.
Yeah.
So do everything that you need to do with a loving heart, and that would include looking after your animals and those that do not belong to you, because those that come into your sight and into your presence need the same respect.
And now for the strays that we have in Trinidad and Tobago, because some persons may argue and say that there's a lot of them, and when you start, then they continue to come, and they may not all have all the resources to cater for the extra mouths to feed in terms of these animals. But are there places set up to, besides communities and persons just, looking out for them, are there any shelters that take in these stray animals to look out for them, and where are they located in Trinidad and Tobago?
That's a difficult question there, because shelters are, at this time, I'm speaking for everyone, overloaded, overwhelmed. So the shelter that may be open to taking in may not be the shelter that will keep your animal alive. So it's always about now do it yourself, help yourself, try your best to assist, because shelters are overwhelmed, underfunded, understaffed, and the homeless crisis is really in crisis. And we in the rescue community, we in the animal welfare community, we need help ourselves. We are exhausted and tired, and But that does not mean that we are not working. We are working tirelessly, but there's so many other variables in the field that need to be implemented and enforced.
Yeah. And now you mentioned other variables. Can you expand more or even share on what changes you would like to see where this department is concerned to take some of that load off on the shelters to help?
Very good question. People need to understand about spaying and neutering because there are so many unwanted puppies and cats out there only because an irresponsible human didn't choose to spay or neuter. A dog or a cat can make up to 2-3 litters a year. That's in 12 months. And where are these little animals going? They're so innocent and they come into a world that does not want them, that they only know rejection and suffering. No, that is wrong. We need to spay and neuter. And the spay and neuter is also available to persons at low-cost clinics. So the prices are affordable. So it's just the action taken to reduce the unwanted animal population out there, pet, dog and cat, as well as there needs to be enforcement of the law because we do have good animal welfare laws. They have been recently updated and the fines have been increased, but the enforcement is what is lacking. We need the police to understand when we come into their stations to make a report on animal cruelty, they need to act because unless people are brought before the law, that in itself is a huge deterrent and will make people behave and treat their animals like members of their family.
Yeah.
So enforcement, spaying and neutering, and of course education. The government is the largest stakeholder in the country, and they need to undertake an education program that builds animal welfare into schools and ensure that it becomes practiced by the younger generation.
Yeah, definitely. Now, for pet owners who looking on and they're thinking, they started off maybe wanting the pets, but initially they realized they can't keep up with the lifestyle. What advice would you give to someone like that?
Well, we always say that people need to pass an exam before they become a pet owner because this is not a temporary or transient undertaking. This is an undertaking for 12, 13, 14 years.
Wow.
So if you take on an animal and realize the challenges are too much for you, first of all, you didn't deserve that animal. Second of all, you need to, at this point in time, not give it up to a shelter because shelters don't always have the space unless people are adopting from shelters, unless people stop buying breed dogs and dogs that are carelessly bred by backyard breeders, sisters and brothers breeding, and dogs breeding indiscriminately, and then the breeder puts a huge price on this little puppy and people go buy it, and then a shelter dog is no longer a consideration for adoption. Unless people start adopting, there will not be space in shelters. And so people have to realize it's not an option. It's not optional for you to take a pet and then discard the pet. Go through with the challenge. You're going to learn that you are able to do things you thought you couldn't do, and you will respect yourself for it. Also, you can use social media, and once that pet is spayed or neutered, it becomes more adoptable. You can make a post. You can say you have this dog to give up, and you can say that you're looking for a loving home, and you're looking for a responsible family and all of that. And social media can become a tool that you can use to have the dog safely relocated.
Yeah. And now you mentioned there is testings involved in terms of that adoption process. Can you just walk us through an example of how that process may go?
Okay, so for our shelter, Animals Alive, we always do a physical house check. It's really a yard check. We do not take videos. So lots of people say we're very fussy, but you know what? We have to be because this animal is changing from our hands to someone else's, and we want to ensure it goes to a safe and loving home. And we cannot be faulted for that, and we really insist that we do that physical house check to determine if the yard is fenced, if the gates are secure, if the yard is tidy, if the home is loving, if the neighbors are friendly, because some neighbors don't want their other neighbor to adopt cats. We generally want to see for ourselves where this animal is going and assess the family's ability to look after the pet. Once we approve, then that animal can go from the shelter to the new home. And we keep tabs for anybody who passes through Animals Alive, belongs to the Animals Alive family. So we will ask for little pictures, we'll ask for little updates, because we don't want to know that this animal ends back up in a state of distress. Wow. So one of the clauses in the contract is, if anything should change, if the circumstances that we investigated alter, then return the dog to the shelter, which was its first home, or the cat.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, thank you so much, Catherine, for sharing that process for us. Because a lot of people, I think, they hear about the idea of adopting, but never really take the time to maybe dive into what that process might look like. Or they only think about it, but again, don't really take the time to go forth with it. So it's really important that you can come on and share that it's not a tedious process, and it's really just making sure that the environment is one that's loving and friendly enough to even host a pet there, because now this pet becomes a part of the family, as you mentioned before. And just to reiterate to pet owners, while conditions may rise in temperatures, what are the steps to take for their animals?
What are the steps to take? In the rising heat out there?
Yes.
Always remember that heat is detrimental to us, detrimental to the animals who already have a higher body temperature. Never take them for walks in the day. Do your walks early in the morning or late in the night. Never keep them in cars that have windows up. If you have to even take them anywhere, then wait for the early morning or the late night. Provide them with lots of water. Cut fur down to something comfortable. Ensure that they have ventilated enclosures. Do not put them on hot surfaces, and ensure that you keep a good observation of your pets all the time, because you never know. You never know when they are going to have an adverse reaction to the heat, and your intervention can save their lives. And of course, call your vet after 30 minutes of you not being able to control a situation. Call your vet, because that becomes a veterinary emergency to save their life.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Catherine, for joining us this morning and having this conversation. It really is important that we can have conversations like this, especially as temperatures has been rising in Trinidad and Tobago. And we as humans are not just the only ones that are feeling it. It is also affecting the animals around us and the pets that we keep in our homes. So it's important that we get to touch on these conversations and give different tips and practical ways that we can go about making that change or making it better for our family in a holistic approach on things.
At the shelter, we also plant a lot of trees.
Yeah.
So that the trees naturally cool the environment. We use a lot of heat proofing under the roofs so that there will be some level of insulation from the heat. And we have fans. But at the same time, we are looking at our animals all the time. We are continuously observant so that we are there in case of any emergencies. I must ask you too that Animals Alive is going through a difficult time regarding to feeding our 500 animals, and we are making a public appeal for chow. I hope you don't think that I'm bold to say this now, but looking after 500 animals every day and feeding them 100 pounds of chow and rice and meat is difficult to sustain. So we do need some help, please.
Yeah. Thank you, Catherine, for even coming on and sharing that with us. It lets the public know that we need to do our part to help out, because we all need each other in the system that we live in. So again, thank you for coming on to have this conversation with us this morning, raising awareness to it, and even that plead to, for those who can, pour in and even make that difference to help with the shelter animals alive. So again, it was really a pleasure to have you joining us this morning. We are wrapping up this morning's show, and we hope that these conversations are always meaningful and you get to take away something from it. And you can see how something each day can change your life or make a difference in the approach that you would have taken. And like I always say to end, stay safe, stay informed, and stay positive. Up next, we do have Sean Michael Small at 8 with Talking Points, so you'd want to come back for that. And I'll see you again tomorrow morning. Bye.
WESN